Hello, thank you for joining me. My name is Dennis and welcome to my art channel. Today I'm opening an illustration book by Hirohiko Araki, the manga artist who created Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. This illustration book is called Jojo A Go-Go, and I believe has a lot of the covers and sort of supporting art for the main manga. And I kind of center around this villainous artwork of, I believe his name was Yoshikage Kira, one of the villains of part 4 of this series. I like the composition here of his arms sprawled all across the page and just sort of cutting off his figure in a way as well, too big for the composition. And I really admire the colors, the yellow, really the yellow of the sky, the tie, and the fist on Killer Queen all sort of have a relationship with one another and draw my eye in. And I don't know, that's what sort of inspired me today. I don't think this is going to be any kind of a JoJo fan art or anything like that. This is going to be my own original artwork and process and everything, but this is still what's inspiring me, you know, the colors, maybe not so much the characters in this case. I'm not so interested in featuring a mass murder in my artwork, but you know, who knows what might be interesting for art in 2025. Here I'm going in with my base kind of wash colors, which I'm going in with big primaries, a swatch of yellow, a bit of blue, and a couple spots of red, and I start to mix the red in with the blue to make a violet, and the red and the yellow for orange, blue and yellow becoming a bit of a green in some spots, but I am trying to stay away from green in this painting and this composition. It's going to naturally happen in some areas just by how wet my technique is, but it isn't my intended intended palette. I'm trying to keep it kind of concise. I want washed out blues, really vibrant yellows, and a mixture of all of these colors, the red, the blue, and the yellow, to become a dominant kind of force in the painting, to sort of give a grounded kind of area as well. But that will develop over time. This watercolor is not a very highly pigmented medium, at least not in the way that I'm operating with it. I'm using these cakes, the tin cakes of watercolor pigment. I'm sure if I poured paint straight out of the tube onto the page, it would be higher level of color and saturation, but with the water, you gotta build up to those levels. It's not gonna instantly be the straight kind of colors that you'll see like on my color palette, as well as on the deep saturated colors of the tin itself, right? That said, it darkens quite quickly when I add this indigo. I think I quite like the effect that it has as it mixes with the red and the already existing blue, and it quickly turns the painting into the violet tones that I was looking for. And by nature of where I put that color, put that indigo, that's the area that's going to start developing as the kind of the prime focus for my strokes. And that said, I can't neglect all of the areas. Now that I've added some indigo in one part of the painting, I have to respond by adding more indigo or more blue in other parts of the painting and give it a better form of balance. Try to tip the scales in a way that, you know, have a lot of one color, less of another, make it, try to get it asymmetrically balanced in a way. Dominate it with, even though there's right now kind of even amounts of the yellow, the blue, and the red, I think that even when they're in even amounts like this, the yellow stands out the most, being the brightest, most saturated color that I have, and the red draws in the eye the most, since it's a bit of a darker but still linked color with the yellow, being warm. I feel like blues and those kind of colors tend to recede into the painting a bit, so I'm not as focused for those areas, and they just sort of fall into place, fall into the background a bit as a painting like this progresses for me. Yeah, I think I'll let the painting speak for itself for a little bit. Chill back, relax with some of the music. I'll be right back. I hope you're enjoying this painting process. Thank you once again for joining me. As you can see with the speed up of the edit, as I place the watercolor with the incline of the page, it does start to recede down the page a little bit, and it starts to collect on the bottom. And in these, I'm using a bit of a smaller paper, my past few paintings, and I've kind of accepted with the amount of water that I'm using that it does tend to collect at the bottom, but I'm not going to, one thing I could have done to alleviate this situation is a paper towel to absorb the color that's getting to the bottom, absorb the water that's going to the bottom of the page. But I've sort of accepted it because I feel like it frames this whole painting, and that it'll have a combination color from the very bottom of the page, and I can just grab some of that ink, some of that pigment at any time and draw it up the page and make all sorts of connections, bring balance with the muddy color that it might end up being. In this case, I feel like it becomes a very dark violet, since the colors that I'm adding are mainly blues, reds, and occasionally a little bit of yellow just to make sure it's there. But throughout this whole process, I do feel like I touch yellow the least. Although it was the first color that I added, I try not to mix it too much, so there's a minimal level of greens. And because of that, I also, anytime I do have some green, I then follow it up with adding some pure yellow to try to alleviate some of that. I'm not trying to get it to be too forestry of a scene, I guess, but I feel like green reminds me too much of actual trees, forest, leaves, but based on my inspiration, it's not really what I'm going for. But I feel like these kind of marks that I make, these viney marks I'm going into now, are very natural for me and kind of come organically for me as an artist. So that's probably the compromise that I'm making here between the inspiration that I'm following and the work that I actually want to be making. these kind of strokes are telling the story not of Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, but of Dennis's Bizarre Adventure in the world of watercolors and all these combinations of colors, combinations of strokes and textures that are hopefully painting a new kind of world here. Something interesting, something beyond what you might find in reality, since I don't feel like hopefully you're not gonna wake up, open the door, and get assaulted by this exact combination of colors. I feel like if you were to see this in real life, you'd almost feel like you're in a alien world, like actually on Mars or something like that, on a different planet entirely. As maybe in that sense, it's almost an illusion of what this world would be like if Earth were to fall apart or something like that. But I feel like my work doesn't sit in that sort of pessimistic area, because I like to use these bright colors in a form of optimism, even though some brightness I feel like might almost be taken as like so positive that it becomes a negative. You know, how the sun is so great for us, but you absorb too much of it and all of a sudden it gives you skin cancer, Something's so great, it gives us life, but too much of it and it makes us suffer. I'm getting a little too philosophical, so I'm gonna tone it back. We're just painting here, we got some colors going on a page, going back in with the tiniest brush and trying to make sure that every single nook and cranny of white paper is covered by pigment. That is the goal in this kind of abstract, corner to corner, edge to edge kind of wet on wet painting. At least that's how I'm going about it right now. I'm sure my process will change as I develop as an artist and develop my process. That's also why I'm here making and recording it. This is me in this moment in time, sometime in March of 2025, and a few months from now, things will be different. A few years from now, things will be very different. So stay tuned for how things change and how the art develops. I would love if you were to subscribe and follow me in this journey. That said, if you liked the video, please leave it a like. I release videos every Friday, so please subscribe if you want to stay tuned for the next one. On to some close-ups of this little painting that I've got. You can see based on my hand size, this is about a 8" by 6", I believe, piece of paper. But make with it what you will. Please let me know in the comments what you think about this painting. Either the colors, the Jojo inspiration, or something that you see in the painting itself. I'm always interested in your thoughts. Thank you once again for watching. See you next time. Peace